This is our theme song. We'll get to this in a little bit. Who's excited to be here? Welcome back to Grace Point Church in Wichita, Kansas. Thank you so much for coming out the second night. It is so exciting to see so many people here. I am so excited about the information tonight. I wanted to start off with a card trick. Who likes card tricks? Yay, we got 3. Okay. Cards are shuffled. They've been shuffled. I've been shuffling them all night. I just need you guys to see they're all out of order. I'm not loaded them up. Okay, so the cards are shuffled. What I'm going to do, we'll edit this out. Cut it right here. Okay, let's do this again. You can't tell I'm nervous, can you? Again, the cards are shuffled, and as you can see, they are out of order, right? Anybody doubt? Anybody want to come up and inspect them? So we're going to shuffle them up a little bit more, make this a bit crazy. We'll take some of them, we'll flip them over, and we'll take even more and flip them over. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read your mind. Okay? So I'm going to tell you what card you are thinking about right now. No? Is that too easy? Okay. All right, so let's take all the cards that we can see and get them out of the way. Now, we'll start with this one right here. Can't see it, so sir, if you wouldn't mind coming forward, taking that top card, not letting me see it, not letting me see it. Now, show the audience. Okay, tell me when I can have it or when you're done. Okay. Everybody see it? So just hang on to that. That's your souvenir for tonight. I'm now in the process of channeling everybody's mind in here. I need everybody to focus on the card. Think ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jack, queen, king, hearts, clubs, spades, diamonds. You're all thinking about the 9 of hearts. All right? No. Well, it just goes to show you can't read other people's minds. I told my wife if the card trick works, it's great. If it doesn't work, it's great as well, because that's part of what we're going to talk about tonight is the concept of reading other people's minds. We're going to do this in the context of anxiety as well. So tonight, it's kind of a twofer. You get the anxiety stuff, you get the reading the other people's mind stuff. But before we get into that, a quick review for those of you who weren't here last week. It's an introduction. For those of you who were here, it's a review. We went over 2 fundamentals. Fundamental number 1, you don't control the past. You don't control the future. You don't control what other people think. You don't control what other people do. And you don't control what other people feel. So, if you don't control those things, you do control this moment in time. And in this moment, you control what you're thinking and how you're thinking. And that's what this class is about, is how you are thinking. You control how you're thinking, you control what you're doing, and you control what you feel. You control your experience. And for many of us, all of our lives, we have spent so much energy, time, money trying to create experiences, looking for experiences that we want, running from experiences we don't want, going to therapy, taking medications, taking vacations, changing relationships, changing all sorts of stuff, trying to get away from experiences and to get away from feelings we don't want. And all along, the secret is that you are in total control. And we looked at different passages in the Bible that have already said that for many thousands of years. What Jesus was trying to teach is that you are in control. What do you want? That is what you're to pursue. Fundamental number 2, how you think. And this happens so quickly that we don't see it happening. But there is an event occurring, and it's coming to us through a filter that we call perceptions. And once it passes through that filter, it hits us, and we respond to what we just perceived as if it is fact. And so when we are having negative experiences, when we are struggling with things, when we find ourselves focusing on the past, focusing on the future, focusing on what other people are doing or thinking or saying about us, it's a clue that we have loaded a filter into our brain called shoulds. And we can't see it. We don't, it's not like a thinking process where you're like, okay, let's make the pros and cons of this decision. We'll make a list here. We'll make a list there. It's not a decision-making model. This is your perceptual process that you are loading in, and now everything in the world is coming to you through it, and you don't see this, but you are experiencing the effects of it. And so when you hear clues to how you're perceiving things, when you hear should in your sentences or in your thoughts, must, have to, need to, gotta, these are red flags to you that I want you to slow down and think. I just said they should have. I just said I need to. And then challenge your perceptual process. And what's the challenge question? Is it a law? So, somebody was just talking to me. They said, yeah, I need to practice more. Now, it's a little thing, but notice the body language, notice the facial expression, notice the experience. Yeah, I need to practice more. A little frustration with himself. Is it a law? Is there any, we throwing him in jail because he's not practicing more? So if it's not a law, what is it? It's a want, it's a preference. So you load in a different filter. You take this one off, much like you would sunglasses, and put on a new pair of sunglasses. What do you want? How do you want things to be? What would you like? What would you enjoy? What would be nice? What would you appreciate? And you rephrase the sentence. Now, it's not just about rephrasing the sentence. I have people all the time, and it's funny to watch it happening because they think they're doing something, and well, I should. And I'm like, you should? And they're like, I want to. But they don't mean it. They're changing the language to shut me up. When you change your sentence, this is part of changing how you think, because your brain, the computer program that is going on inside of here, is in the English language. So as you're sitting there right now and you're thinking, unless English is a second language for you, you're probably thinking in English words. And so the words that you say, the sentences you say, are your thoughts. So if I say, I should really, practice a lot more, my thought is, I should really practice a lot more. And so I am using that filter to bring in the reality of whether I practice enough or not. If, they should be here on time, they should have dropped the kid off, they shouldn't talk to me that way. Now, when we think about what they did or what they didn't do, it hits us. It comes through that filter and begins to hit us immediately. And I was talking with this gentleman this week, and some things that happened, and he, I could hear over the phone him gritting his teeth, and he started to say these things. She shouldn't have done that, and she shouldn't have said this, and he became very frustrated and very upset, and it not only created this experience for him, put her in control of him, but it launches him into another set of thought processes. And those are the thought processes we're going to talk about tonight. All these fundamentals you're going to see start to work together. They feed each other, they move from one to another, and so it's important to understand all four so that as you're moving through your thought process, you're engaging yourself to ensure that you are dealing with reality in the cleanest possible manner that is most effective for you. People 2 years out will say, I shouldn't say should. But what's wrong with that sentence? It's the snake eating its own tail. I shouldn't say should. So I'm mad at myself for saying should when I shouldn't say should. And how do I stop that? It's like I'll just stop talking. Especially around him. He irks me. He shouldn't do that. So, anxiety, stress. Who's familiar with this concept? Anybody? Maybe you have a friend who's got a problem with anxiety. We always talk about our friends. I have a friend who, everybody's my friend, whether you were a client, a friend, or my neighbor. A friend of mine said, so I don't have a problem, but my friend's got a problem. So to get into this, first of all, it's kind of important. This is, something else I've noticed over the years. People will come to me and say, I have anxiety. And I learned a long time ago to stop and ask this next question with just about anything that somebody walks in the door and says, I have. What is anxiety? And you all are wrong. Anxiety is the activation of the autonomic nervous system based on a thought. Write that one down. It's the activation of the autonomic nervous system based on a thought. The activation of the autonomic nervous system based on a thought. So, we're going to walk through this. The goal is for you to be able to have something of utility when you leave here. So, as I am wont to do, let me be silly for a minute. If I was walking through the woods, beautiful day, look at that. That's just a beautiful, gorgeous view. I'd love to build a house over there. Isn't it? House. And speaking of house, why are we going through so much toilet paper at home? I got to talk to my wife about that. What's she doing back there? Well, I got to pick up toilet paper on the way home, and sodas, and coffee, and I've got a whole list here I got to get. And about this moment, a bear steps out from behind a tree. Roar. Now, you can imagine what all happens in the next second. I scream like a little girl and run the other direction. Ah! So, that split second from, what's on my grocery list, to the bear appearing and me screaming, I want to slow that second down and kind of open it up and take a look inside of it for a second. And I want you to understand what is actually happening neurologically in this split second, okay? Because this is really important to understanding anxiety and stress. So, we have light in the air, in this silly example, from the sun. That light is traveling across the sky, striking an object, and reflecting towards my eyeball. Now, if we could stop time in that second, as far as my brain knows, nothing exists because the light has not yet made it to my eyeball. With me? Now, the light continues to travel and it strikes the back of my eyeball, ding, stimulates a nerve, and that nerve in turn fires off an electrical chemical signal that begins to travel down the optic nerve into my brain. At that moment in time, no bear exists. We have data leaving the eyeball heading into the brain. That data is then routed by the thalamus, big switchboard, goes to the occipital lobe, where for the first time my brain actually begins to process that electrical chemical signal, and it begins to group it together in critical shapes and features, textures, and it organizes the data that's coming from my eyeball. Excuse me. I guess that's why there's a mute button on this. That organized data is then moved to a region of my brain where I begin to look at it and attempt to identify what it is. So I take the organized data and I look at it and say, what might that be? Let's see here, going through my mental Rolodex, aardvarks. Is that an aardvark? No, it's not an aardvark. Anteater, is that an ant? Aren't the anteaters and aardvarks the same? I don't know why I have two cards in here. Beaver, no, it's not a beaver. Bear. Yeah, this is a bear. So, step one, I identify what it is I am seeing. I decide this is a bear. And that's a decision. Have you ever been at a party and you see a friend of yours walk in and you look across the crowd and you yell, "Hey, Steve!" And the guy that walked in turns your direction and suddenly you realize it's not Steve? Steve! Sorry. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. Think about what happened. Light, data, processing, decision, Steve. I yell like a fool. He turns, more light, more data, new decision, not Steve. So, step one in this whole process that is happening in less than a split second, I am making a decision about what it is that is in my environment. Okay, I have decided this is a bear. Now that I've made that decision, how do I feel about bears? Well, let's think. Large carnivorous creatures roaming North America, known to eat people. And this bear, 10 feet away, I'm alone in the woods. My car is 3 miles back. I have no weapons on me. This bear is a threat. Second decision. You've gone to the zoo. That bear in the zoo, you look at it, you do not evaluate that this bear is a threat. Like, oh, bears. Where are the otters? Let's go look at those. Right? Same bear. So, critical to understand that your environment is not happening to you. First, you are defining what it is that is in your reality. And secondly, you are then evaluating that reality along with the environment that you're in to then reach a conclusion about how to feel about that reality. Now, if you decide that the bear is a threat, your brain then sends a signal from the frontal lobe down to the autonomic nervous system. Now, this region of your brain, there's three major regions to your brain. There's the autonomic nervous system, there's the peripheral nervous system, your motor cortex, the nerves running in and out, and there's the central nervous system, and that's what we think of when we think of as a brain. It's this chunk of stuff right here, central nervous system. But your touch, your motor nerves, these are part of your brain. And there's a third part called the autonomic nervous system, from the Greek word autonomy, meaning I don't control it. If your boss puts you on a job site and says you have complete autonomy to do the job, he is turning all control and regulation over to you. He does not control you. So the autonomic nervous system, you don't control it. But it is operating all the time inside of you. Your autonomic nervous system consists of your brain stem and your spinal cord. And so your brain stem and spinal cord are regulating everything that's happening in your body 24/7. Your heart rate, respiration, perspiration, cell metabolism, body temperature. This is all happening based on this computer. You don't have the ability to control this part of your brain. So to prove that, everybody take your body temperature up to 107 for me. You can't. Stop releasing adrenaline into your system right now. You can't. But this part of your brain is regulating all of that and keeping your body at an optimal operating condition for the circumstances you're involved in. So when you decide that this bear is a threat to me, a signal goes to the autonomic nervous system and says, prepare the body to deal with the threat. So now my muscles begin to tense up, because I may have to spring like a cat and run really fast. My eyes begin to widen so that I can draw in more light, more data about the circumstances I'm involved in. My heart starts beating faster. It's trying to pump as much oxygenated blood throughout my body, because my muscles are going to need that oxygen in order to save me here any second. I draw my breath in up behind the rib cage to protect them from the bear, and then I expand them as big as I can get them, and I keep it topped off. I'm filling the gas tank full of oxygen. The oxygen my heart is about to pump to my muscles that are about to save me from this bear. Adrenaline is released into your bloodstream to give you an extra boost of energy right now. Your liver dumps out a ton of sugar to give you more energy. Digestion shuts off. We don't need to worry about the Oreos right now. Let's take that energy and put it into the life-saving muscles. Sphincter muscles tighten up. There's a lot of stuff that comes online here to physically prepare you to deal with this bear that is a threat. And one other important thing happens. Your mental focus, it's wide open, right? Oh, it's a beautiful day, that's a beautiful view, toilet paper, grocery list. Your mind's all over the map. Bear. Tunnel vision. You are now 100% focused on the bear. And two options, fight or flight. Your brain said there is a threat in the environment, so it prepares you physically to perform at your peak in this next second and focuses all of your mental energy on the threat to the exclusion of everything else. If you're going to survive this encounter with the bear, you can't be thinking about the grocery list. You can't be engaging in a conversation with your buddy. Hey, so, did you see that view over there? This doesn't make any sense, right? If I'm standing in the woods, the bear jumps out, and you walk up the trail and say, hey, Lance, how you doing? What am I going to do? Shut up! I am on high alert. My mind is focused over here. In this second, If you quizzed me, what were the 3 things you're supposed to pick up at the grocery store? I can't do it. My brain won't go there. This all happens like that, instantly, practically. Inside that split second, bear, boom, you are running 90-0, and your mind is locked in, focused, ready to go. And you have 2 decisions at your disposal, fight or flight. What is this called? No. Damn it. It's a trick question. Fear. There's a bear, right? I'm afraid of bears. There's a bear. Oh my God, I was afeared for my life. Oh. We call that fear. When the threat is standing in front of us, we call the activation of the autonomic nervous system fear. Now, I told you all of that to tell you this. I made a big deal about this data processing, right? First, we decide it is a bear, and then we decide it is a threat to us. These are 2 thoughts. These are 2 thoughts. Who controls how you think? So, what I'm illustrating here is to activate this autonomic nervous system, we don't actually need the bear. We need the thought. So if you take the bear out of the equation and you think, oh my God, what if I deal with a bear today? Now, if that bear is real, the bear is your boss, the bear is traffic, the bear is your spouse when you get home. If the threat is real, I'm driving to work and traffic starts jamming up and I look at the clock and I'm like, oh God, if I'm late again, my boss is going to fire me. Is that real? Yes. But it's not right here. It's not the boss is at the office. The possible firing is down the road. So we call this activation of the autonomic nervous system stress. I'm stressed out by the traffic. When I have to deal with that particular client, it just drives me nuts. I am stressed about having to deal with that client. Students, they stress me so much. The threat is real, but it's just not right here right now. Now, if the threat, not really real, if it's something you're imagining, what if bears came in here? Oh my God. An activation of the autonomic nervous system based on solely a thought. What if I get cancer one day and die? That would be horrible. I've got this bump on my toe. What if it's, woo. So anxiety is an activation of the autonomic nervous system based on a thought. Who controls how you think? So we are creating our anxiety. We are creating our stress. Now, some of y'all raised your hand when I asked if anybody knew about stress and anxiety, and the rest of y'all lied. I'm not raising my hand. He'll call me out. Another reason this is important to understand is study after study, and the one that comes to my mind that is the most clear about this is Krankies and Mangelsdorf, 2003. Y'all remember that, right? They studied a general family practice over the course of a couple of years, and they went and gathered over 3,000 cases of people walking into their family doctor. And they took all of those cases and analyzed each and every single one of them. Now, in the case where they needed additional testing, additional follow-up to kind of do the diagnosis, Those are the ones they studied. Where the issue is actually kind of obvious, they set those aside. So if you went in with headaches and you have a nail sticking out of your head, it's kind of obvious why you have the headache, so they don't study that. But the rest of them, they studied. And they found something I thought was pretty astounding. They found that people walking into a family doctor's office, there's like a top 10 of complaints. I don't remember all 10, but the ones that stuck out of my mind were, stomach problems, cardiac problems, back pain, impotence. The top 10 complaints, the top 10 medical complaints in a family doctor's office, when they began to analyze the etiology, when they began to analyze what caused the symptoms, they were able to break them down into 3 categories. Medical, they're at a medical office, right? Psychological, and psychosocial. It's a big fancy word, and it means life. What's happening out there? And those 3 categories, medical, physical, or psychological, and psychosocial, they then looked at what percentage of these top 10 complaints were directly traceable to one of these 3 categories. Psychological accounted for 10%. So we're now down to medical or psychosocial. Psychosocial stress was found to be the cause in these top 10 of 76% of the complaints. Psychosocial stress was generating 76% of the reasons why people walk into the family doctor's office. And the next interesting thing they found was we can apply treatments to these patients, right? That's what they're in there for, to get experimented on. If the treatment mirrored the etiology, in other words, we have medical treatments, we have psychological treatments, and we have psychosocial treatments. If the treatment matched the etiology, the patient got better. So if the patient's condition was actually medical and they applied a medical treatment to it, the patient got better. If the patient had a psychological issue driving their complaint and they applied a psychological treatment, the patient got better. But if they crossed lines, if it was a medical issue and they gave some nice life advice, how to deal with stress, or if it was a stress-based issue and they gave medical treatment, guess what happened to the problem? It worsened. We go to the family doctor all the time, and we're not even aware that a large element of why we're heading in there is due to stress and anxiety. And of course, you know the long-term effects of running the automobile at 90 miles an hour, the car begins to break down. Well, our body is the same. We run it for a long period of time at 90 miles an hour, heart rate up, stressed out, not sleeping well. We begin to break down. And then we begin to feel these problems, and then we begin to feel depressed, and then we end up in the shrink's office not understanding why we're here. And a lot of times it simply goes back to stress and anxiety. So it's really important for a number of reasons to begin to understand how stress and anxiety work so that you can begin to get control of it. So fundamental number 3, what if? What if equals fear equals stress equal anxiety? This is a thought. Now, it's not, the words what if don't have to be in every sentence. Like, well, I didn't say what if, so I'm not stressing. But generally, for the most part, that's kind of how our thoughts proceed. We will say, what if this happens? What if that happens? Or we may just actually predict it. Oh, this is going to be horrible. These horrible things are going to happen. But we are looking into the future. And here's what happens. The moment we say, what if this happens, the nightmare appears in our face. What if I get on stage and they all laugh at me? That thought pops up into my head. That thought of that threatening experience is just as real to my brain as the visual data coming from the bear standing there. So when I think, what if this horrible thing happens, my brain tells the autonomic nervous system to get ready. We are now dealing with a threat. So I think, oh my God, what if this happens? And I begin to hold my breath. My heart starts beating faster. My muscles begin to tense. I begin to sweat more, cool the body off like a radiator does a car. When I say, what if, when I worry about things, oh, this isn't going to work out well. I'm going to go to the doctor. He's going to tell me I've got cancer. Oh. When I'm worrying about the past, when I am worried, well, what, 6 years ago I did this, and what if that comes back to bite me? Because it could do this, and then I could end up there. Oh, when we worry, when we're worrying about what other people think, as I proved so adequately earlier, I can't actually read your mind. But I will sit here and act like I do. Oh, she's looking at me like that. She thinks I'm a fool. That thought is just as real to my brain as the bear standing on the stage in front of me. My brain doesn't know the difference, so it reacts by activating the autonomic nervous system. My heart starts beating faster, and my mental focus narrows in on the worry, narrows in on the anxiety-provoking thought. So as I begin to worry, I begin to experience worry, fear, stress, anxiety, panic, heart's just going crazy. And what is the result? I have this autonomic arousal, my heart's beating crazy, I'm feeling physically distressed. Number one reason for visits to emergency rooms: auto accidents, gunshots, panic attacks. People go in with anxiety to emergency rooms because they think they're going to die. Their heart is going crazy. They're dizzy. They're lightheaded. It's called the fight, flight, or freeze response. We become hypervigilant. We become reactive. We experience all sorts of physical ailments. When I worry about something, I am bringing that to my imagination. I am seeing it in my brain. To my brain, it is real. This system activates. And anybody ever been told, don't worry? Well, why this? There's two reasons why this is impossible. First of all, the anxiety system, the worry system, will feed itself. Because when I worry about something, what if this happens? I have a physical reaction in the present that is undisputable. This is real. So you're telling me I'm imagining things, but it feels real to me. And so don't tell me I'm imagining things, or else I wouldn't feel this way. So I am validating the irrationality within its own system. I worry about something, I feel it, so this must be something to really worry about. And so I am now motivated by that validation and by the tunnel vision that the system is designed to give you. I am now motivated to focus on the worry to the exclusion of everything else. So just like if I'm facing a bear and you come and try to talk to me there on the trail in the woods, I'm going to yell at you to shut up because I am trying to deal with this bear. If I am worrying about something and you come up and start trying to talk to me, what? Sorry. I should have woke you up. So I am now irritable. I'm got my worries, I got my stress, this is all happening, but I am trying to force myself to pay attention to work, to pay attention to my kids, to pay attention to my wife, and it's just, I can't do it, it's hard, it becomes work. And I compound it by saying, don't worry. See this cup or bottle? Don't look at it. Pay attention to me, forget about the bottle. Suddenly, the bottle begins to glow like a light bulb. Whoa. It's hard to not see the bottle. You may be feeling a little tension right about now, trying not to look at it. You can look at the bottle. Notice, the bottle has been here the entire 45 minutes I've been up here, not been an issue for you. The moment I said, don't look at it, suddenly became an issue. Why? It's simple. You can't not see it. It's right there. This is kind of stupid. Not look at it. Okay, I'm not looking at it, but it's right there. There's absolutely no way in the world I can look at him and not see this. Impossible. It's in my peripheral vision. It is going to be there. So you are now challenging yourself to do something you can't do. And the more you try not to do it, the more it tells you to do it. So you're fighting against yourself. And so you go from a nice calm state, oh, he's talking and I'm about to fall asleep. Don't look at the bottle? Oh, shit. Why am I even trying this? What was I, the stress starts to rise up in you. Well, imagine if this is the worry about your bills. Imagine if this is the worry about your marriage. Imagine if this is the worry about work. Imagine if it's any of the things you worry about. Where do the worries live? Are they in that room? They're in your brain. So you have a worry in your brain, and then you tell yourself, don't think about it. It can't go anywhere. You can't shut it down. It's impossible to not think about something that's in your brain. So you're here with your stress, and when you say, okay, I'm not going to worry about that anymore, what do? You become more stressed out. And I see it all the time. Somebody's sitting there worrying, this is really driving me. You know what? I got to put that out of my mind. I got to stop. What's this? Where did all this energy come from? This is more activation of the autonomic nervous. I can't sit still any longer because I have so much adrenaline flowing through my brain. This is where PTSD comes in. Talking about anxiety, I have a bad thing happen to me, moves into the past. The bad thing, well, when it happened, I felt horrible. Whoa, a car wreck, when I was 12, these bad things happened to me. So when they happen, I feel horrible. Now they move into the past. Well, when I think about what happened to me in the past, when I think about the car wreck, I feel horrible. Right? Well, I'm not dumb. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to feel horrible. So what do? I muster up stress to shut the memory out. So I am stressed out, freaking out when I do think about it. I use stress to shut it off. Post-traumatic stress. After post-trauma, the bad thing, stress. I'm actually mustering up the stress to shut out the memory. Now I am left like this, and this cannot be the answer to the question I'm about to ask. Why the heck do I feel this way? Why am I so tense, stressed out? What are they looking at? Giving me the evil eye. I become hypervigilant. I become reactive. My fight or flight system is activated. I'm on guard. I'm ready to go. My brain is searching for the threat to lock in on, and it will find it. It will find something to be upset about. It will, oh, they're looking at me. Hey, tell that damn cat to quit stomping around in there. Anxiety, stress, activation of the autonomic nervous system based on a thought. Our tool to this point has been, don't think about it, which actually makes things worse, which is why you get caught in this circle. I worry about something, my body reacts, my brain locks me in on it, so I dig into it. Well, what if that happens? Oh my God, if that happened, then the next thing could happen. And then I would be homeless, and then I'd be out on the street, and I would probably have to sell drugs for a living, and then I'll be arrested, and I'll be in prison for the rest of my life. We work these scenarios. Tell me you don't lay there at night, going all over the map. Fundamental number 3, what if? I worry, I stress, I'm anxious, I'm imagining what other people are thinking. I'm imagining what other people are going to do in the future. I'm worrying about things that have happened in the past. And I am creating this for myself. So what do? I developed a Worry Worksheet. I can't swear that it's 100% mine, but it's kind of what I've written and rewritten over the years. So you're free to use it. This is how I deal with it. And the ones I have at the office are actual worksheets, like homework. You tear them out of your book, send them home. But this is the 5-6 steps to deal with worry, to deal with anxiety. First of all, whenever you find yourself worrying about something, what if this happens? Write it down. Write it down, because that is your thought. So write the thought down. What if I can't pay the bills? Write it down. Now, I want you to be a nerd and go back and rewrite that sentence and change what if to, I am concerned that. I am concerned I may not be able to pay the bills. What this does for you immediately, cognitively, when you say what if, the nightmare is right here in your face. And you react. The anxiety kicks in, tunnel vision. When you say, I am concerned that, it moves it out of your face over to arm's length. Over there, I can deal with it. Right here, I can't. Right here, I panic. Right here, I react. But if I change my thought just a little bit, I am concerned that I may not be able to pay the bills. Okay, over there, I can deal with it. Step 3. Is it possible that you may not be able to pay the bills? Is it probable that you may not be able to pay the bills? Now, if this is answered yes, but if it's, oh, what if I get cancer? Is that possible? Yeah. Is it probable? I don't know. You've got a hangnail. Where's cancer going to come from? Okay, you're right. But this is what you do to yourself. I'm stressing. Oh my God, what if I got cancer? What if I can't? Let me slow down. I'm concerned I may have cancer. Is that probable? No. Okay, I'm being silly. I am then able to manage my thoughts. But let's say it's possible. Is it possible you may not be able to pay the bills Friday? Yeah, you haven't seen my bank account. That is very possible. Okay. Well, let's use our imagination for our benefit. If Friday rolled around and you could not pay the Westar bill, the electric bill, what would you do? How would you handle that? If Friday came and you're sitting there at 4 o'clock going, I don't have the money, I can't pay it, what would you do? Move. Load up the car. That's, one possibility, sure. Beep, beep. Develop a plan. Well, if I can't pay the bill, if it comes around, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I see I'm not going to be able to pay this bill, I'll break down, I'll go borrow money from my mother. Or I will call Westar and see what kind of arrangement we can make. Or I will call the church and see if somebody can loan me, donate to me, whatever, the money I need to pay my bills so my electricity stays on, so that my heart pump still continues to work and my child doesn't die. What would you do if the thing you are concerned about were to actually occur? Make a plan. Now, for some of you, this may sound like phenomenal information, but all of you already do this. How many of you, by a show of hands, so we can all point and laugh at you, how many of you drive around every single day with white knuckles on your steering wheel, sweat rolling down your face because you might get a flat tire? Oh, boom, oh no, I hope that didn't. Do you worry about getting a flat tire every time you get out on the road? Is it possible you could get a flat tire? And if you got a flat tire, what would you do? I get out, change it myself. I'll call my husband. I will call AAA. I'll keep driving until... and then I'll leave the car, light it on fire. We all have a plan in the off chance we get a flat tire. And because you already worked through step 1, 2, and 3, okay, I'm not really worried about it anymore. Instead of telling yourself, don't worry, think effectively. Take the worry, rewrite it as a concern, take the concern, develop a plan to deal with it, and if the worry comes back up again, pull your plan back out, revisit the plan, see if there's anything you can do to address and work on and create a better plan. This is how you begin to manage the worry. But I want you to take it one step further. That worry, that concern, that future, what if I can't pay the bill? Has it happened yet? What if my wife leaves me? Has she left yet? Not how many times. The event I am worried about, the one next week when she sees what I put on the credit card. She might leave me. Oh. Has that happened yet? This is how you work your brain. Has it happened yet? No. Has it happened yet? No. Has it happened yet? No. Okay. Since that future has not happened yet, but it is possible, by definition, that is one potential outcome out of many. It is possible I can't pay the bill. It is possible my wife leaves me. But there are other possible futures out there. There is a future where I pay this bill, and there is a future where this is no longer a concern. There's a future out there where I have all of my bills covered, and I feel comfortable about my ability to pay my bills. That future is just as available to you as the one where you can't pay the bill. The future where your wife is leaving you, there is a future where you and your wife reconnect, reestablish a relationship, and have a wonderful future. That future is just as available to you as the one you are worrying about. So, step 4, write down, what would you like? What would you like to see happen? How would you like things to go? What would you like your financial situation to be like in the future? What would you like your relationship with your children to be in the future? What would you like? Whatever you find yourself worrying about and tearing yourself up and losing sleep and getting knots in your stomach, slow it down. Is that possible? Yes. Well, let me make a plan in case I can't pay my bills. What would I do if my wife actually left me? How would I handle it? What would I do? But now, what do I want to see happen? How do I want things to go? Write that down. Step 5. Develop a plan to bring that future about. There was a football coach, and I won't give you a lot of the details, but there was a football coach who was called in at the last minute to an interview. It had already been decided who the head football coach of the team was going to be, but they realized, I think, the reason for this, they realized they hadn't met the Rooney Rule requirement, so they brought in this head coach, or this coach, to interview for the head coaching job. And Tuesday night, they had actually prepared the press statements. They had actually put in the name of the new coach on the new jersey and were preparing the press conference for the next day. And everybody was, within the organization, everybody was shocked and stunned when the Pittsburgh Steelers came out and announced Mike Tomlin was their next head coach. What? Tomlin? Who? What? It was going to be one of the assistant coaches that had been there for 14 years. Everybody knew this. It was a done deal. So how do you walk into that job interview knowing you have no chance at this job? What kind of effort are you going to put into that? If you are worrying, if you are predicting negative futures, if you are reading their mind, oh, they're just using me. They just need to hit that check mark and I'm out of here. I get a free meal out of this sucker. How are you going to perform if you predict that future? But Tomlin saw this as an opportunity. He said, I get a chance to interview for a head coaching job. Woo-hoo. And I am going to go in and I am going to do the best job I can do. I'm going to walk through those doors. I'm going to show them I'm the next head coach. And because he predicted that future, he went in and performed very well and ended up with a job. I've had clients literally in my office, and this is exactly how their job interviews go. They're like, oh, you're not going to get the job. I'm like, okay, well, you're not going to get the job. Well, let's use this for practice, okay? Hey, you're not going to get the job, so go in there and screw it up. Go tell stupid jokes, laugh at stuff. Make fun of them. See what happens, Get it out of your system. Then when the real job comes around, you'll be prepared. And they always come back. Always come back. Well, I got the job. How'd that happen? Oh my gosh. Once they stopped predicting negative futures, they were able to perform in the interview in a nice, relaxed, comfortable way and reveal themselves. Here's the crazy thing about predicting things. What you predict is most likely what will happen. And this isn't just job interview stuff. This is relationship stuff. Oh, when I get home, my wife's going to be so mad at me. Well, how am I going to be when I walk in the door? What kind of look is going to be on my face? What kind of tone of voice am I going to have? Can I control her? Can I make her mad at me? Do not pull this out as a weapon later on. And my fault. Dr. Parker said I can't control you. Ha ha ha. No, but I can influence other people. And if I am walking in the door with a certain attitude, I am increasing the likelihood they're going to respond with like attitude. I'm like, I knew coming home tonight you're going to be in a crappy mood. You're going to act this way. Shouldn't even come in the door. We create the future we predict. It's called the self-fulfilling prophecy. And it works in a positive manner. And that's why I promote this worksheet is don't worry. Don't tell yourself, don't worry. What you do is you take control of your thinking and start here where you're already at and work yourself over to this new way of thinking. And the reason why I make it a worksheet is I want you to do it like homework. Sit down at the table, boom, get out a piece of yellow paper. All right, number one, what was I worried about today? Let's make that a concern, come up with some plans here. Now, what would I like to see happen? Well, the reason you do this like a homework assignment is because every time you do it, increases the likelihood you do it next time. Every time you do it, increases the likelihood you begin to think the new way. Every time you work yourself from a worry over to a dream, increases the likelihood the next time something pops up, you begin to look at it differently. You begin to respond physically and mentally differently. You begin to take control of your thinking. This filter is loaded in there and you can't see it. How many times have you seen somebody walking around the house going, I can't find my glasses. Where are they? They're right here, they can't see them. And this is what we are doing all day, every single day. We don't see the filters we have loaded into our brain. We automatically look at other people. We automatically look at other situations as being something that has power over us. And it never crosses our mind in that instant, oh yeah, Dr. Parker said, I have control over how I feel. The more you work these systems, the more they start to come to your mind in those moments where stress and things are hitting you. Should, must, have to, need to. When you find yourself beginning to yell at the car in front of you, there it is, I'm yelling at that car. Because I just thought they should hurry up. Well, that's my thinking, that's my filter. What is the reality here? Should they hurry up? No, there's no law saying they got to do 80 like I want to do. I would like for them to hurry up. Now I'm in control. Now I am looking at this cognitively correctly. And I am looking at it biblically. Martha, Mary. Martha thinks we should do all these things because Jesus is here. And she gets mad when Mary is not helping. And she's so indignant about it, she tells Jesus what to do. I know better than you. Tell her to get in here in the kitchen and start scrubbing some dishes. Mary's thinking differently. Mary's thinking, what would I like? What would I want? I watched a program this weekend, and I thought I was preparing for tonight, and I got done at the end. I'm like, that was a waste of time. It was a nationally known pastor. I'm not going to say his name because it's not my place here. I'm not trying to embarrass him or humiliate him. I'm not trying to make fun of him. Because he is representative of almost all the pastors out there. But this particular video I saw on YouTube had 2.5 million hits. And I thought, well, this must be good. It's got 2.5 million hits. And the title of it was, How to Rid Yourself of Worry and Anxiety. I'm like, here we go. This is stuff in the Bible. I don't have to go and read it now. I can steal from him. Bring it into class, act smart. So I sat down and watched it. And at the end of it, I thought, well, that was just a complete waste of time. He says everything that every pastor ever says. And obviously, people are digging what he is saying because they've watched it a couple of million times. But he is not telling you this. He pulls the scriptures and says, it says, don't worry. It says, has worry ever added a second to anybody's life? It says, do the birds worry about what they're going to eat or wear? He spent 45 minutes pulling scripture after scripture after scripture where the Bible tells you not to worry. How's that working for you? The purpose of the New Testament, the purpose of the parables, the issue is not the issue. Don't get hung up on what the issue is in the parable. Look behind the parable for how Jesus is saying to think about something. And nowhere is it more clear than it says, do not be anxious, but in everything, with thanksgiving, in prayer, turn your requests over to God. You're looking at me like fish. I'm getting this look. Don't you get it? The instruction is right there. Do not be anxious. And this is where, when I worked with rehab, I would hear that all the time. Well, I just got to give it to God. Can't worry about it. Got to give it to God. What does he say? Do. Do not be anxious, but do what? I just said it. Turn your requests over to God. What is a request? Pray is how you communicate with Him. A request is what do you want? It's right there. What do you want? What would you like? Lord, I'm having trouble with these bills. I can't pay them. But thank you for the sunshine and thank you for my jeans. Lord, I would really love it if you would help me pay these bills. What do you want? That is what the Bible instructs you to do. I pointed out 5 times before he was carted off by the Romans, Jesus told his disciples 5 times, ask my Father for whatever you want in my name, and it shall be yours. He told Martha, Martha, you're stressing and trouble yourself so much when there's actually few things that are needed. Should, must, have to, need to, gotta, supposed to. She should get in here. She should help me out. We should have a nicer house. We should have this place ready to go for the big guy. This isn't any way to present. This is all, you can read it. You can see it. She was stressed by should, must, have to, need to. And Jesus told her, there are very few needs in this world. Mary has chosen what is better. How do you get to better? Which is right and which is wrong? Cake or ice cream? Which one's right? It's a stupid question, right? But this is how we address our lives all day long. We're saying, what should I do? What would be the right thing to do? How do I speak to them? They shouldn't speak to me that way. That's wrong. This is how, but Jesus is telling you very few things are needed. So the rest of this stuff must be, and when you think in terms of wants, somebody shouted out over here, whichever one you want. Now we're dealing with a very different standard. which is better, cake or ice cream? I'm an ice cream man myself. Vanilla ice cream, that's good. Vanilla ice cream with Reese's cups on it? That's better. Yeah. Vanilla ice cream, Reese's cups, whipped cream, chocolate syrup. That is the best. When you are thinking in terms of what you would like, then you begin to deal with the scale of good, better, best. And if you don't have ice cream at home, disappointment. But if you're thinking in terms of should, must, have to, it's right or wrong. And if there's ice cream in the freezer, all right, none of y'all get yourself beat tonight. But if there's no ice cream in that freezer when I get home, somebody's going down. Who ate my ice cream? Get in here. It's right or wrong. And it doesn't make any sense. But this is how we think all day long, every day. And we're not aware of it because it is loaded so finely behind our eyeballs in these filters. Worry, what if? Oh my God, what if this happens? What if it happens? It becomes so natural for some people. What is the solution? Move it out a little bit. It's a concern. It hasn't happened yet. But if it does happen, how are you going to handle it? Develop a plan. Okay, I feel prepared. Now, what would you actually like to see happen? Oh, I hadn't thought of that. I told you last week, somebody came to me one time and said, I have never made a single decision in my life based on what I want. What? And they walked me through it. Why did I go to high school? Why did I not drop out of high school? Why did I go to college? Why did I take that job? Why did I stay married? Why did I take that new job? And it was always about, they didn't want this, they didn't want that, they didn't want this, so they did that. Every decision. And at the end of it, I was like, well, and they're like, what do I do? And I'm like, well, what would you like? I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to keep making decisions like this. You hear it? Yeah, I thought it was funny. I don't want to keep making decisions based on what I don't want. That filter is loaded in there and ingrained, and they can't see it. Even in the moment we're talking about it, they can't see they're using the filter. I don't want to make decisions based on what I don't want. Well, how would you like to make your decisions? Well, not like that. It is, somebody told me today, it is the simplest thing in the world, yet is the hardest thing in the world. And that is why I give you these handouts. That is why I give you these challenges. Is it a law? Because I want you pulling these filters out every single moment of every day and challenging your thinking. Be in control of your thinking. They feed each other. Well, they shouldn't have said that. Well, why would they say that? Now I imagine. Am I going to imagine something nice? Why would they look at me like that? Well, they must think I'm a fool. Well, if they're just going to treat me like a fool, now I'm off and running based on something I've imagined. Can I read your mind? Who's here is expecting a song tonight? Why? I have no intention of embarrassing myself, picking this sucker up and trying to play for you guys. Where did you come up with that idea? You are jumping to conclusions. Do you know what's going to happen in the future? Do you know what I'm thinking? Do you know why I brought the guitar up here? This is how subtle and fast and simple it's happening. You don't even recognize it's happening. Oh, he's got a guitar. We're going to hear a song tonight. Hey, who said? Where did you get that idea? In your own brain. It's happening right now. Fundamental number 3 is happening. And then finally, I'll let you go. I know you're hot and tired. Worry ruins your walk with Jesus. Study this. When you worry, you're not trusting God. You know, faith without deeds is no faith at all. When you came in, you sat down. In that second, you demonstrated an act of faith. You had the confidence that this chair is going to hold you up when you sat in it. So your behavior illustrates your faith. Do you have that same confidence in God's will? When you feel led to say something, when you feel led to go in a certain direction, do you have faith that God is leading you in the right direction? Or do you worry about what's happening? Do you worry about what's happening next? Do you have your plan, but things aren't working out the way you want them to? Are your deeds illustrating your faith? So when you worry, you distance yourself from God. Stress, anxiety, fear, worry. Not only cognitively do they cause us medical problems, not only psychologically do they cause us a great deal of anxiety and trouble mentally, but every second of every day you are missing opportunities to increase your relationship with Jesus. And it's the very thing you are saying that you want. Why don't I feel close to Jesus? These three fundamentals are what's distancing you from Him. So I want to thank you guys again tonight for coming out. This has been fantastic for me. I don't know about you, but I have fun. We have one more night. Next week we're going to do fundamental number 4. We'll tie all 4 together. We'll review the first 3. So if there's somebody who hasn't been able to come yet, go ahead and bring them. They're going to get all the fundamentals next week. We're going to hit fundamental number 4, show you how they all interplay and work together. And I want to thank you guys for everything tonight. Let me close out with a quick prayer. Dear Jesus, thank you so much for Grace Point. Thank you so much for Pastor Mike. Thank you for the people who have worked so hard to bring this to fruition tonight. This course would not be available if it wasn't for so many people who see a vision in your eyes that you are laying out before us. And Lord, we just thank the people that have attended, and I ask that you pour out special blessings on them tonight, tomorrow, that you begin to open their eyes to the information from these classes that you want them to see, so they can begin to transform how they think, so they can begin to see what it is your will is for them. Lord, bring everybody back safe next week. In Jesus' name I pray these things. Amen.